And good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me. Please let me know, as always, in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me okay. Impromptu unboxing. This wasn't planned, but this arrived today, and I've got a little bit of time between now and my Lord of the Rings stream later on this evening. So we're going to do an unboxing of Dominant Species Marine. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the game, as well as doing an unboxing video for it. So many of you will know that there is an original game called Dominant Species, designed by Chad Jensen. Rest in peace, Chad. We lost him last year before, unfortunately taken before his time. Dominant Species Marine is effectively a sequel. It's a sort of spiritual successor. It's not a second edition of Dominant Species. It is a different game. It is a standalone game, and it shares a lot of the same core mechanisms as Dominant Species, whilst turning some of them on its head. So this one, as you might suspect from the name, it is all about sea creatures. So Dominant Species was land with a bit of sea creatures as well. This is more sea creatures and fish and things like that. So let's open it up. And let's have a look at first what's on the box, because GMT doing very good. Wrong. Is that the right one? Yeah, there you go. GM2 do very good back of the boxes with really, really useful information. So 2 to 4 players, 1 to 3 hours. Once you know the game. I mean, to be honest, I think 3 hours for 4 players is probably about right. 1 hour for 2 players? Not sure. I've never tried it, but I suspect that might be a little bit. I mean, obviously increase this for your first game. Complexity level 4. This is on GMT's scale of complexity. Solitaire suitability is down as a 2. I'm not sure why it's not down as a 1, because I don't think it is solitaire suitable. Anyway, right, let's open it up. The first difference that fans of Dominant Species will notice is it's 2 to 4 players. Dominant Species is 2 to 6 players. This is 2 to 4 players. Right. There we go. Nice new smell. Right, so we have a rulebook. Now, the Dominant Species rulebook is generally regarded as one of the best rulebooks out there. It's really good. I did have the opportunity to give some feedback on this one at various, but quite late on in the development. But yeah, it's pretty good. The rulebooks for Chad Jensen games are generally very good, with lots of examples and really well laid out. So as I say, I've not seen the final version of this game. He says, looking at the final version of the game. What I mean is, I didn't see the final version of this rulebook before it went to print, but the last time I saw it, it was pretty clear, and we just corrected a couple of minor bits. So if you're wondering how easy it's going to be to play this game from the rulebook, I would say you should have no problems with it whatsoever. Well laid out rulebook, lots of examples, and some clarifications or variant rules in the back, and lots of clarifications about particular ones of the cards. Right, so let's move that to one. This, by the way, is one of my, this is Oliver the Octopus. This does not come with a copy of the game. You go over there, Oliver. Stickers, if you don't like stickers, sorry, but there's not that many of them. And then you have the player boards. So these are the 4 player boards that are included in the game. The crustaceans, the fishes, the reptiles, and the cephalopods. And again, if you're familiar with Dominant Species, you will know that the bit in the top left is different for each of them. And is this the same? Because in Dominant Species, they had this slightly different for each one, and I think it's the same. Yeah, so you've basically got a good, this is like a player aid as well. It's a player board, but also a player aid. Can you play solos 2 players? You could play solos 2 players. You could play solos 4 players if you wanted to. Right, variant rules on the back where you don't have fixed counters there. So there you go. They're the player boards. We have the counters. So we have quite a few punch boards. I'm going to do Paul's punch test on this. Oh, there's no asymmetrical powers in this, says Brett. Right, okay, so no asymmetrical powers for your actual type of sea creature, but it will based on your traits. That's it. Yeah, your traits will give you special powers. So I'm going to punch these out. Yeah, these are punching out quite well, actually. Oh, that was a cat. Yeah, so they're punching out quite nicely. Right, there we go. Let's move them to one side. We have other punch boards. So these are the coral reefs, open oceans, seagrass meadows. Yeah, we got various bits. Okay, so these are punching out. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of care with them because I don't know what they're like, but they've punched OK. And the little counters, yep, they've punched OK as well, right? I'm not going to punch all of them out, but you get seven punch boards with the game. Artwork and graphic design. Artwork is good. Graphic design is very similar to Dominant Species. So very clear, concise. And now we have the board. So the board, as you can see, this is thick. So this is a pretty heavy duty board. Let's just move these out of the way. And then once the board is on, I will tell you a couple of other bits about the game. So this comes in a Ziploc bag, a big Ziploc bag, which I can use for storing future prototypes. There we go. Because that's not going to stay, I'm not going to keep it in the Ziploc bag in the box. So yeah, so GMT boards tend to be really good, thick quality, and let's see if it sits flat. Normally they need a little bit of back bending, if back bending is the right term. So the copy I have of this in my attic is the prototype. That will be moved on. I think I might have even already reused it for other bits. But yeah, the version that I had, and I've done a playthrough video on this game. So if you want to learn how to play the game, I am going to put a link in the chat right now, because I did do a playthrough video of this game. When was it? When did I do a playthrough video for this game? Here we go. March 2019. In fact, it was the 5th of March. So just short of 2 days, just 2 days short of 2 years ago, I did a playthrough video on this game. And I'm going to try and find this video here. Right, link is going in the chat now. So yeah, this is almost a 2-year-old video. Yeah, so it does need a little bit of back bending, because again, this is fresh out of the box. But hopefully, always makes me nervous when I do that. Hopefully that will sit flat. I'm going to have to zoom out, aren't I? Because that's huge. You're not getting all of that in camera. There you go. So there's the board. Still not sitting quite flat. There we go. Really nice art. I like the blue. It's a nice bluey green. Right, so there's the board. That will sit there. And these tiles that you saw earlier on, these will be basically added to the board. And then you've got your hydrothermal vents, which work a little bit like the glaciers in Dominant Species. So if you are completely new to Dominant Species and have never played the original game, it is a worker placement game, and it uses this area of the board here. So each player will have, and let's get some of the rest of the components out. Nice big, thick, chunky components. Oh, nice bag as well to put stuff in. So each player will have a certain number of these cylinders, depending on the number of players in the game. These are effectively your workers. And what will happen is that these are all of the different actions that you can go on. Everywhere that there is one of these jellyfish is where you can put one of your workers. And you will basically, I think, although there's these as well. I can't remember the difference between these. No, can't quite remember the difference. So I'll skip past that. But basically, these are worker placement spots, and you put your worker on here. Now, the big difference between this and Dominant Species. I'm going to just talk about Dominant Species for a minute, the original game. In Dominant Species, there is a phase of the game where players round the table, turn by turn, will place their workers onto this area of the board. Nothing will happen other than placing their workers on the board. Then, once all of that has been done, you then resolve the actions one at a time all the way down to the bottom. Now, that's how Dominant Species worked. The biggest change in this game is when you put your worker on the board, you immediately resolve that action. Okay, so what's happened is that they've moved the traditional worker placement first and then resolution of the actions into a place and then resolve. Okay, which is very, very different from the original, and it means that the game flow is different as well. Now, you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, in Dominant Species, it worked because the actions were resolved in a particular order. Well, in this game, the way that it works is once you have a worker on the board, your next worker has to go on a lower space. Okay, you cannot go higher than that because that is your previous action that you've chosen, and therefore you've got to go lower than that. Now, there is a way that you then take the workers off and you can start again at the start, but that is the basic core difference of the game. Okay, the jellyfish are for the elements. It's the trilobites, which are the worker placement spaces. Thank you. So you don't place them on the jellyfish, you place them on the trilobites, if that's what the word is. The fossil kind of thing. So that's the core mechanism of the game. And basically you will be doing these actions during the game. Your particular species is represented on these board by these cubes. So there are loads of cubes in the player colours, and you will have a different number of species on the board, and they will be competing for control of these tiles. And when there is a scoring, you will get points based on how many there are. That's basically what the game is. Now, this is... it's very interesting, this game, and I think one of the reasons why I like it and one of the reasons why it's quite popular is the core mechanisms of this game are a Euro game, okay? With my definition of what a Euro game is. You're not rolling dice in this game. There's very few random elements as such. The mechanisms are worker placement, so there's a lot of Euro game mechanisms in here. But it's a war game, as Brett says. It is a war game. It is very much a PvP game. You are competing with other players directly. Now, the way it isn't just go out and attack the other players and roll dice for combat. There is a combat-y element in the game, but it isn't the main part of the game. It's all about using the rules of the game to adapt to the different terrain types that there are, in particular these element discs, which will be placed on the junctures of the hexes, and then trying to gain points. So in that respect, it's a Euro game, but it's kind of a hybrid, because thematically, this is very much a fighting game. But I know certainly myself and a lot of people who prefer Euro games with no conflict do enjoy this game as well. The other thing, let's talk about. Let's just unbox this, because we've not unboxed everything yet. Quality. Yeah, quality of the cubes. I mean, you can't really go wrong with wooden cubes. You think? I have seen some publishers go wrong with wooden cubes. These are fine. These are absolutely fine. And the cylinders, they're all good as well. Now, what are the stickers for? We have a sticker sheet. So I'm not sure where these are going, because these are spares. So we've got a sticker sheet, and I'm not sure what the sticker sheet is for. Maybe it's for these, because we've got these counters. Yeah. Brett can tell me, Brett or Chrissy can tell me in the chat what the stickers are for. Was there some kind of misprint that they needed to fix? Stickers are for the white special pawns. Ah, yes. Right, here we go. Yeah, so there are these special pawns. It's coming back to me now. And there are 6 of them, 1 for each element type. Okay, and you will... I'm going to just sticker 1. Live stickering with Paul. There you go. So it's not going to take you that long. It's not as bad as some games with hundreds of stickers. So cards. Let's have a look at the card quality. And the cards... I remember when Dominant Species came out and we played it loads. And the cards were the biggest talking point of the game. So there are trait cards in this game. And there are evolution cards. So this is the other big difference. In Dominant Species, the original game, you just had effectively these evolution cards, and they would be laid out here. But in this game, you have something different. You have these trait cards, and these are what makes the game asymmetric, because different players will get different trait cards, and you can gain additional trait cards as the game goes on. So that's a new thing. But when the original Dominant Species came out, card quality. Okay, so I do quite a few unboxings, and in all of these unboxings that I do, I get the cards out and I go, yeah, they're all right. These are thicker, okay? So these are better quality than most of the other cards that I do. I don't want to be cruel to publishers. You know, when I get their cards and I go, yeah, they're all right, but these are thicker. Okay, so yeah, these are really good quality cards. You might want to sleeve them if you're a sleevey type person, but in terms of thickness, good quality cards. Really good quality cards. Anyway, what I was saying about these cards, certainly in the original Dominant Species game, these cards were called dominance cards, I think, and you would shuffle them and then you would lay them out on here. And I think you do the same in this game. Okay, and there is something special about the fish symbols that I can't quite remember. Maybe they can't be there on round 1. But these cards are super, super powerful and massively swingy. And that's why some people didn't like the game, because you are slowly building up, you are doing all of these things, you're taking the actions, you're gaining board position, and then somebody comes along, takes this card, plays it, and destroys half of your empire, right? That is the game. Now, as a counterpoint, that wasn't a random thing that happened. Those cards are there at the start of the round, and all players can look at those cards, and if there's a card that, some of the cards are massively powerful, and if one of the cards there is like, oh, wait a minute, that's going to completely turn my game upside down, you need to make sure that you get the card, right? And if you don't get the card, at least you saw it coming. So I learned to accept the cards. The first couple of times I played it, I was caught out because people were using these cards and destroying everything that I'd done. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I thought this was like a Euro game or something. And it is, but you need to watch out for these cards. So if you've never played the original Dominant Species or this one, just be aware, these cards, not all of them, but some of these cards are massively powerful. And just make sure you are aware of that going into the game. The fish skeleton means extinction event when endangered species are... Ah, right, yes. Yeah, that's the other thing with this game, is that in the original game, you checked for extinction of species at a particular point in the game. So you could plan for that, and you could potentially abuse it as well. In this game, you check for extinction at a certain point. So when one of these cards comes out, if it's got that symbol on it, you check for extinction immediately. So you've got to be more careful about making sure that your species can survive than you were in the original game. Right, that I think is it. We've actually got 2 bags because all of these counters, these element counters, he says, all of these will go in 1 bag, because what you do at the start of each round, you shuffle this bag and you will take out elements from here and you will put them on there. And I mentioned earlier on that there is a low random element in this game. I personally believe that the elements coming out of the bag and where they go on there, that is the biggest random element in the game. And you need to be aware of that as well, because these might come out in your favor or they might come out completely against you. And you need to be aware of that, and you need to have a backup plan. Because what you're doing in the game is you are adding element tokens to your player board, which basically dictate the types of elements that your species can survive in. But based on what comes out here, those elements will be being added to the board and being removed from the board. And if the ones that you've got end up not coming out here and being added to the board or disappearing from the board, then you're in trouble. So that's one of the biggest things in the game that you need to watch out for. And as Brett is saying, yes, the new worker placement mechanism means that you can't just rush to get the dominance cards. Yeah, because in the original game, dominance was down at the bottom. In fact, it still is down at the bottom, which means your first action in the turn could be, I'm going to go there. Now, remember, in the original dominant species, you wouldn't resolve that until the end of the round. In the new game, if you go there straight away, you resolve it, sure, but then you're done. And then I think you've got to skip a turn maybe to remove your discs so you could go back to the start. So yeah, they've tweaked the powerful, they've tweaked that as well. Richard's here as well. Hi Richard, thanks for joining in. They've blocked you from watching this channel on the work PC. Because it's called Gaming Rules and it might be linked with gambling. Yes, well it is linked with gambling. I mean, people send me Jaffa cakes and some of them get a shout out on the stream. Kind of gambling, isn't it? We're all done, I think. Yeah, that's a very quick unboxing. I need to go and put this away. I will be back in, what time is it now? 10 to 6, just over 2 hours time with my continuation of the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth playthrough. So if you're interested in that game, I'll be live on the channel in a couple of hours time with that. But other than that, this is going back in the box. This is not a game that I can play at the moment because we're still in lockdown in the UK. But as soon as lockdown ends, I have a list of games that I want to play, and this is on there. It is possible to play this game remotely though. So who knows? I might be playing it remotely at some point because we have a couple of virtual conventions coming up over the next couple of months. And maybe virtual Bacon. Maybe I'll play this. We will see. Thank you very much for watching. As always, make sure you click like on the video. Leave me a comment if you are not watching this live. Let me know if you enjoyed it. That's everything. Take care. I'll see you all soon. Bye. Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.